right, everyone, we're back, and tonight took 8 minutes for this to get to where I wanted. So I'm going to show you what the dough should look like after it's kneaded and ready for its proof. I am going to test it for window pane, not because that is an indication it's ready, because it's not. Window pane could mean that you over kneaded it. I'm just checking because I tell you 9 times out of 10, and I make this exact same recipe every single time I make bread, 9 times out of 10, I don't hit window pane. There's 1, 2 times in there that I will. And this is the same bread I make every single time I make bread, and it comes out identical every time, window pane or not. So let's take a look at where we're at with our dough. Helps if I unlock it. All right, so we have some stretch coming with the dough hook. So I want to loosen this because I don't want to rip my gluten. And I'm just going to reach my hands in here. This is where you need a bowl of water. Remember I told you I could touch it with water and not pull any dough off? That's an indication that it's done. One of the indicators that it's done. The other is did it come together? In other words, does it look cohesive? And this very much does. So you notice it cleaned off pretty clean from the dough hook. So this is what we're looking at. This is right after kneading. I do typically take my spatula and scrape down the sides because I don't like to waste any dough, but also because I don't want it to pull. I don't want to break that gluten. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Not even in the middle of the camera. Sorry. But I don't want to break that gluten that I just spent all that time building, so I don't want to tear it off the bowl. So move the KitchenAid out of my way, and I'm actually going to dump this on the counter. Notice that there is absolutely nothing here. I have no oil, no flour, nothing here. There's another indication that your dough has come together wonderfully and its gluten structure is great. If you can put it on your counter without adding flour. Now, that's not saying it's not going to stick a little bit. You may need to use your bench scraper once it gets out on the counter, only because you don't want to tear the gluten. But notice this is all coming out in one cohesive ball. Sorry, that was probably loud. We're helping it so we're not tearing that gluten as it comes out. Now, there. Okay. So, is it cohesive? Is it relaxing but holding shape when you dump it out onto the counter? Which this is. It's got its dome. It's holding. It did spread a little bit, which is not spread. It's relaxing. So in other words, it's not tight. It's holding its shape, so the gluten is good. It is tacky, but my hand's not even wet. It's not wet. I didn't wet it again. And I can touch the dough, and it's tacky, but it's not sticking to my hand, okay? So now I'm going to get my bench scraper because I let it sit there too long. You can wet your bench scraper so it doesn't stick. Scoop it up. Be intentional with your dough scraper so you don't do that. And if it gets a little sticky, just get it wet again. Just trying to pick it up off the counter into our hands. That's all we're doing. Okay? What we're going to do at this point is, see what I mean by it's tacky? But really it's not sticking a whole lot to my hand. If you don't want it to stick at all, just wet your hand. That moisture isn't going to hurt it. We're going to shape this into a ball. Need a little bit more water. I don't want sticking too much and tearing that gluten. Have our bowl. I'm going to set this down here. It is a little wet, so it's not going to stick too much to anything right this second. I'm going to pour a little bit of oil into the bowl. I like that, if you can see it. I'm going to circle it around, let it coat the bowl. Use your hand if you'd like. I know it looks like a lot, but there's a reason I did that, because this is ready. So I'm going to take my ball. Oh my goodness. If I can make it a ball. There we go. I'm going to drop it in upside down. I will swirl it around because I'm coating the top of that loaf. She's being really sticky tonight. I'm going to drop it in. No, I didn't test it for window pane because I forgot. And now that I formed it into a ball, I'm really not going to worry about it because, again, guys, window pane is not your predictor on your dough being ready. So, it's covered in oil. We don't need the hard lid now since it is covered in the oil. It's not going to dry out. So I'm going to cover this with a towel. And we're going to let this rise until it's about 50%. That shouldn't take any longer than an hour unless your house is extremely cold. I would check it in about 30 minutes to see where it is, because all you want it to rise to is about 50%. That's going to leave you the other ability to rise on its second rise in the pan and in the oven. So that's what your dough's ready at, or I'm sorry, that's what your dough looks like when it's ready after kneading to start your first rise. I'll come back when it's ready to shape and put in our pans and let you know what it looks like. See you then.